Hello everybody, my name is jfavignano, and today we're going to be looking at the VersaFly YoKo Yoke. This thing is expensive, so if you're looking into getting a yoke for flight simulation, this one is probably going to be up there as far as price goes. But the wonderful people over at VersaFly sent me this YoKo Yoke to review for you guys, and in exchange for the video, I get to keep the unit, which is a pretty awesome thing. So thank you to Emilio over there at VersaFly for expediting this thing out to me. As it comes out of Barcelona, Spain. That's where it comes from. So it's probably not a good spot right there. I'm gonna open this up with these knives here. Make sure we don't kill ourselves in the process. How about that? And there we go. All right. Now the dog freaks out because something touched him. Oh no, something touched me. So if you want to have a look over here, you can see what we got. We've got good old foam packaging. Looks like some fun stuff here. Here's the actual yoke. Now this yoke is actually all steel. Let's see some stuff we got here. Ooh, some stuff fell out of the little folder here. Got some stickers and whatnot, and a VersaFly book, and a thank you for being a VersaFly customer and all that good stuff. Pretty neat. Let's move along here. We'll remove this. Some just package foam. Packaging foam, as they call it. It's kind of all together here, so we'll pop this box out here. What is in the box? What is in the box? Let's find out. Now what I plan on doing with this review is I do want to put it up next to the Saitek yoke. They didn't ask me to do that or anything like that. I've used the Saitek yoke for a very long time, and this is supposed to be a step up, a huge step up from that, so I'm excited to see that. Here's some additional little screw things, but here's the main clamp. Similar to how Saitek's is a plastic one, but this one is all metal, and it looks like it will fit on my desk no problem, as I have the G27 set up already. So that is the clamping unit. And a USB cable. That's all you really have to have. Here's the instruction manual. The YoKo the Yoke user's manual. It's in English and Espanol as well. So I will be reading the Spanish version. I'm kidding. Move this out of the way. More packaging foam. And there's really not much to it. Oh, we got a scuff there, but that was from the what you call it? The foam. The packaging foam had some dirt on it. Heaven forbid. Let's pull this guy out. This sucker is heavy. It's all steel and aluminum. Nothing else in the box. Nothing else in the box. Although the cat is starting to come in here to start investigating soon. All right, here is the unit. Right there. We have a little USB drive here, as you can see. Now this USB drive is a 8 GB jump drive that comes with the software for the drivers and whatnot. It's a crushed Chex Mix, it looks like. Well, that is absolutely awesome. Now, I got the pleasure to use one of these YoKo the Yokes when I was down visiting Pete. You know him as Frugal Sim. I got to use his unit he has down there, and I fell in love with it. And that's what made me real interested in the YoKo Yoke. So, I plan on trying this out with X-Plane, and we'll see a difference between the two of Saitek being a lower end entry yoke to something like this that is quite expensive. I believe these are right around $1,000 US dollars. Very expensive units, but you get what you paid for. This thing is absolutely, I mean, it's a beast. It's really, really, really heavy. I like that. I was worried it was going to be a lot lighter because of this case is made of aluminum, but that doesn't seem to be the case. This thing seems very nice. The yoke is a lot bigger than I remember it. A Cessna yoke is a little bit smaller than this because they come in at an angle, but this is kind of similar to what you would have in a lot of turboprops, like a King Air or something. So very nice feel. You have some rocker switches here. These are made of plastic, actually. These are right here. And then a couple buttons on the back. This one is like one of those push kind of buttons that it doesn't snap. It's not like on the back of the Saitek yoke that has that snapping feeling. It's like a very light push. Same thing with this. Kind of similar to a push-to-talk key on a real yoke. It's got some indentions on the back for your hands. You can see the all the nice work they've done there. I guess, what would they call that? Forging or whatever? Forging steel? I don't know. But the travel of this thing is as such. You pull it and you push it like that. And you can see there's no dead zone there in the middle at all. Same thing goes with the side-to-side action you can see on this yoke. All the way to the side, all the way to the side. It doesn't rotate 90 degrees like you would expect. It's almost 90 degrees, but not quite 90 degrees. So with that said, that's the unboxing of the YoKo the Yoke. Again, thanks to VersalFly for giving me this to review for you guys. I'm pretty excited about it. I've really been wanting to get one. And then when the opportunity arose to review one, I was like, absolutely, I really wanted to get one anyway. So the next step is to show you what it is like in the simulators. Okay, before we get into the simulators really quick, I just want to show you what this yoke looks like compared to the Saitek one. And again, I was not asked to do this. I'm just doing this on my own accord because I know a lot of you out there own the Saitek, and I wanted to show you the differences between this yoke and this yoke. You can see how much bigger the switches are here compared to the little smaller ones here, and hat switch. So there's no hat switch on the YoKo. You could use this as a hat, I guess, left and right, and then up and down if you wanted to, but I'll probably put this as my elevator trim, and maybe that's a flaps or something, because I have my flaps set on this one right to there. But it has a push-to-talk key kind of button back here, and this is what I was talking about, how the snap, that sound, you know what I'm talking about, compared to a nice realistic feel with that. So why is this thing so expensive? Well, it is professional grade, meaning they make professional parts for real big simulation operations, pretty much. I know that the YoKo is used on a UAV. They actually use the YoKo to fly it, which is pretty interesting. Whereas with the Saitek stuff, you know, you kind of get what you pay for between the two. Can't express that enough. One thing you're going to notice right off the bat is look at the size difference between these two mounting brackets. Now, if you have the Saitek and you're like, man, it's pretty big, bulky, I don't have a lot of room underneath my desk. This one is a lot slimmer and has little pads on the back here, allowing, you know, for that to touch a glass desk or something like that if you own one of those. So if we stand up, we can just see how much bigger the YoKo unit is than the Saitek one. The Saitek one goes back to about here, back there. So this is about 12 inches long completely, whereas the Saitek one is a little bit shorter than that. And they're about the same height though. I mean, yeah, about the exact same. So if you're worried about space, like I was like, I don't know how big this unit is gonna be. With my Saitek one sitting there, and I can put the keyboard on top of it, same thing can be done here. This is no difference that I can see so far. So let's mount these things really quick to the desk. You have this mounting bracket. This is a lot quicker. You just slide it right on in there like that, and then we can do this one-handed, so it's easy to say, hey, I'm gonna do this and then not do it right. So we're going to get it nice and tight here, because I don't want it to fly off the desk. I have a very cheap desk. You can see it's falling apart over there in that corner. Okay, so that looks pretty good there. And the Saitek one, we'll go ahead and mount him as well, using the big old plastic piece. Very similar way of mounting, just a little bit different. Ooh, this is pretty difficult to do one-handed. There we go, like that. And then I will go ahead and get this thing clamped on, hopefully. Or one-handing these things is not easy. I might have to switch the other hand here. Let's see. Pop that on there. There we go. And clamp that to the desk here. If it will. It's going now. You see this, Saitek's been through some hard times, but that's okay. So there we go. That's on there now. Let the camera focus. Okay, so this is the travel you have with the Saitek. The biggest issue I have with the Saitek is this middle clunk right there. It's the dead zone that's built into it. And look at the travel to the left, and look at the travel to the left of the YoKo. The YoKo turns a lot more, but not by a whole heck of a lot. It's still not 90 degrees like you would get on a Cessna, you know? There's still limitations there. Same thing with there. But the difference already is just how light this thing is compared to this big old honking thing. Like this feels, you know, very nice. It feels very sturdy, whereas this is just, you know, flimsy. But again, you know, the price difference is gonna be right there in the quality. But yeah, if we pull back and release, you can see how it does that. We pull this thing all the way back here and release, it does that. It doesn't have a big, heavy clunking dead zone in the middle, which I'm very excited about. This one kills me whenever I'm in a flare in like a 737 or something over the numbers, and you wanna get that fine movement, you're dealing with this click in the middle there. Whereas with this, you're not gonna fight that so bad. It's gonna feel very natural in the flare. I remember that from being over at Pete's house and trying it out. So that is the reason why I know what it will feel like. But with that said, I mean, that's the two side by side. You can see the YoKo sticks out quite a bit more than the Saitek. It comes back into your lap a bit more. I think that's pretty nice. I like that. One thing about the Saitek I never really cared for was how short that travel is. It's not enough travel for some things, whereas this one has a lot of back travel. There's max there, and then forward right there. So that is the two side by side. Let's see how they stack up next to each other in the sim.
Leaving the ramp here at St. Louis, Missouri. That is Terminal 2 right in front of us with Southwest Airlines. Fantastic. We're going to do a little bit longer arc around here because I know we got a big DHL 737 on our left wing when we pulled out, so I'll make sure we give plenty of room there. And we'll hit our rocker switch and get the flaps set to 5. So 3 clicks of that. Very nice heavy clicks here on this yoke in particular. And it's got those like it's a rocker switch, so it has that kind of middle piece. They are plasticky. They're plastic, but plasticky. That's a good one. And you can see how I move it like that, but it's solid clunks there. This is our pitch trim, as you can see there. So I already preset all that. That's all good to go. Let's add a little bit of power here. Using the X55 for my throttle quadrant today. I have my speed brake set to this little knob up here. Let's get our auto brakes to RTO. There we go. Wonderful. And as we get closer to the runway, we'll do strobes and landing lights and all that good stuff. How about that? So let's see what the YoKo is all about. I'm excited to use it. And getting it to work wasn't very difficult at all. By the way, this is the IXEG 737-300 Classic. A fantastic airplane. One of my favorites of X-Plane, that is for sure. You can get that at X Aviation, and I will put that in the link. I'll put that link for that in the description below. Coming up on 30 left here. We're going to take off, climb to 2,100 feet, and make a left traffic pattern for one-way 30 left. For one-way. I know I didn't pronounce my R there right. Landing lights and a strobe. Let's take the runway, shall we? Doing this all manually, not doing auto throttles or anything like that. We're not going to be flying 100% to procedure. We're just going to be checking out the yoke. As well as I'm going to fly with the Saitek after this, and maybe you'll see a visual difference in what I can't portray is feel. All right, lined up on 30 left. Let's go ahead and add some power here. Let them stabilize. And we'll set takeoff power up to the E-preset knob. A little EPR button right there, almost. And takeoff power is set. There's 80 knots. We're going to push a little forward pressure on the nose so it doesn't pop up on us. 100 knots. We're going to be rotating right around 130. V1. There's rotate. Ooh, I like that feel right there. Nice. You can really get a nice feel of that elevator. Wow. I'm pretty impressed with that. All right, positive rate. Gear comes up. And we're going to keep the flaps in at 5. We're just going to manage airspeed here as we climb up to 2,100. A little too much back trim there, so I'm going to pull back our power. and slow down. We want to maintain about 180 knots here for this entire duration. As we climb through 1,300, let's go ahead and start our left turn. We'll do a nice 30-degree bank. Wow, that's got a really nice heavy feel to it. There's 30 degrees of bank right there. We're still climbing, so I'm going to let the nose come down, and we're going to use the trim to maintain our positive rate. And we're just going to maintain about 30 right here. There we go. Fantastic stuff. Watching our speed. Let's bring it back a little bit. But I like that feel of the elevator. Man, that is good. It almost makes me want to turn it a little harder. But it's good. There's 2,100. Let's let this nose come back down on us as we fly to the reciprocal heading of 120. Getting closer to that 200 knots. All right. The simulator had a hiccup there. So that's what happened. Had a pause. That was weird. All right, let's bring this nose down here, and we're going to roll off onto heading 120 using that trim. There we go. And very nice, precise flying with this YoKo Yoke so far. Bring the power back a little bit more. And we're going to fly down to this industrial area before we make our turn. There's an industrial area just to the south of Highway 70, and I'm going to use that. So let's bring this nose down a little bit more. Watching our airspeed big time. Very easy for that to get changed. Let's get our auto brakes. We'll set those to 3. I know it's a little high, but like I said, we're not doing real procedures here. Slow this puppy down a little bit more. 2,100 is what we want, because that's the initial altitude for the ILS coming in there. The final approach fix altitude. So let's, there's St. Louis right off our nose. You can see it. Watching our speed here and our altitude. Let's bring that nose back up. There's St. Louis there, and that's the industrial area I'm talking about. There, that industrial court. Sorry if I had that mouse pointer on there. Just getting closer there. Just watching our speed here. Let's bring this nose up a little bit more. I think it's time for some flaps here. A little bit more flap than what we're using. It's going to help us not have that nose wanting to pop up on us. All right, that should be pretty good there. And we're almost to that industrial court. I want to go up a little higher because we want to be at right about 2,000 feet when we make our turn here. Well, this thing doesn't want to climb today, does it? No, of course it doesn't. With this airspeed. There we go. Yeah, 2,000 feet's what we wanted here. All right, use that pitch trim. I like how clunky these are. You know when you're hitting that button. All right, let's go gear down. And we're going to start a left turn here. Watch our speed. And we're going to make a nice 30-degree turn to the left. And this will show us just how smooth that is. Wow, that elevator. You can pull back on that elevator there. I'm just maintaining that 2,100 feet off of the feel, man. The further back you go with it, the more it feels heavy, which is pretty cool. I'm gonna bring this nose down, and we're going to go to flaps 15 and roll off onto the heading here in a few moments. And if we do this right, we should come out on the glide slope, no problem. There's Highway 70 coming up on now. There's the airport, and we are gonna roll right off onto the runway. There it is right there, and we're on the glide slope. How about it? Let's go next setting of flap. Flap 25. Add that power. There we go. And now we're just going to visually fly it. We got gear down, 3 green, auto brakes 3. Let's arm the spoilers, speed brakes, I mean. They are right there. They're in the green. I think I already had them before I took off. They were armed for takeoff. 1,000 feet heard. Let's use our trim to our advantage here. Looking very nice. I'll slow this puppy down. We want to do about 140 knots. We're going to be shooting for about 135 ERF here. Again, we're not using FMC computers, and I'm not really sure. So we're going to go by what the airspeed bugs are showing. And I assume that 140 is going to be about perfect for us here today. Let's bring this nose up a little bit more. Not going to mind the master caution light. Let's go flaps 30. And still fly the airplane. There we go. Add that power back in. You don't want to get too low and don't want to get too slow. Never a good combo in a 737. Add more power.
400.
There we go. 400. Still on the glide slope. No problem. Just watching our speed a little high now. Bring this nose down. There we go. We're a tad high now. I messed up there with the speed. That was my fault. All right, let's watch the ballooning here. Not a problem with this yoke, though. Wow. 100 above. We'll get that 50. We'll hear that 30, and we'll start our flare here.
40, 30, 20.
There we go. Start the flare, bringing that nose up. And we are down. How about it? Fly that nose gear down to the ground. There we go. Reversers are coming alive now. That's got a really nice feel to it. Man, does that have a nice feel on that round out to flare. You feel that elevator back there. Now I'm using default settings with all of that stuff, if you're wondering. Meaning the default settings in the YoKo software. So the sensitivities should be right in the middle and all that good stuff. I haven't messed with that stuff, but wow, does that have a heavy feel of an airplane or what? All right, so that's the 737 with the YoKo the Yoke. I'll plug in the Saitek yoke and we'll give that a shot. And we'll take off and do the exact same thing. And I'll give you my input of what I feel in the difference between this and another product out there that a lot of you guys probably own. All right, we have switched out the yokes and we are going to have a nice healthy Southwest taxi happening here. We're going to line up on the runway and take off again. We have our landing lights on, strobe lights on, RTO for auto brakes. Flaps are set at 5. We should be good to go there. Only thing is we have to check the trim. There we go. That's probably perfect right there. Let's move that cursor off the screen, line up on the runway, and take off and do the same thing. I tell you what, the moment I put this on, it's like, oh my God, this thing is so light compared to the YoKo that I was like, this is going to be weird. All right, let's add that power in. There we go, nice and stabilized. And add our takeoff power. Takeoff power is set. Just starting to hear those engines groan there. There's our 80 knots cross-checked. 100 knots. Coming up on V1 soon. V1. Rotate. It just feels like it's so light. It's so weird. Yeah, it's so much lighter. There's no better way to say it. Gear up. Oh, I put the gear down. Just put them up. All right. Good old trusty. I've used this yoke for a very long time, but it's about time for it to be changed out. Okay, there we go. 180 knots looking good. About 1,000 feet per minute here. We'll start our turn to the left. The best thing that I can say so far, just from feeling the YoKo before this, is wow, the difference in the amount of strength it takes to turn. The YoKo is, the tension is a lot higher. And all right, let's add a little more power in here. You don't feel like you're flying a heavy jet. It feels much lighter. Hard to kind of gauge that, but nonetheless, we're doing good. Still in a nice turn. Try to get to that 2,000 level here. This 180 knots looking great. Still got our flaps 5. I'm happy with that. Still turning here. Nice climb. On up to 2,100 feet with a reciprocal heading of 120. Just like we did a little bit ago. Push that nose forward. Wow. It's just so strange having the lightness, the change in the lightness. When it comes down to that YoKo, man, I tell you what, it is about quality. The quality of the parts that are used. It's pretty incredible. This just feels so light. It's crazy. Almost as light as a piece of paper. All right, back on up to 2,000 feet or so. Do the same thing we did before. There we go. But yeah, what I've noticed when I was in that turn, when I was pulling back, I mean, you know you're supposed to pull back on the yoke when you're in a turn, but you're hitting that clunky thing in the middle there. And that really messes it up. It feels like you're not adding a gradual input. It feels like you're adding an input completely there. Let's watch what we're doing here. Back to 2,100. I just missed that really heavy feeling, that pull I had to give before. All right, we're getting down here soon enough. So the biggest thing for me is that final. When you're in that flare for a landing, it makes it or breaks it when you're hitting this huge clunky thing in the middle of this particular yoke. All right, let's go gear down. Go flaps 10. Start our turn. And it doesn't have that much travel, so you know the travel of the YoKo is doubled compared to this one. This isn't max right there. Ooh, let's not be stupid here. It's a lot longer, so you feel like you have more of a gradual pull rather than you're getting to the limit of the Saitek and you're running out, if that makes sense. We'll do a 30-degree turn here. Let's go to the next setting of flaps. Watch our speed here. Wow, that's a big change there. There's Highway 70. We should be rolling off right on to the runway. There it is right there. And look at that. We're right here on the glide slope. No problem. To use that trim to our advantage. Add that power in. There we go. Beautiful. Little low. Let's bring this nose back up. It is such a different feeling. All right, let's get back up onto that glide slope. Come on. Add that power in. We got it. I don't know, in that turn, I think I messed it up when I was demonstrating how far you have to pull back, but wow, this is tough to get back up on this glide slope. Here we go. We're good. But I'm used to that YoKo feeling, that heavy feeling. I don't have to give it as much input. Like, you know, you can just like easily turn it. This, when you do the same amount of inputs, it's heavier inputs based off of the calibration. And with this Saitek, this is one of the newer ones. I had an older one before it, and I always had some calibration issues here and there, but
200.
They hold up for a while. All right, coming over the numbers soon. 100 above.
50. 40. 30.
Yep, bring this nose up.
20. 10.
Bring it up, bring it up, bring it up. And we are down. Look at that. Bringing that nose up. Let it come on down. There we go. Reversers. I didn't put any auto brakes on this one. We'll just do a manual because last time it was overkill. It's all reverse thrust. Get this puppy slowed down. But yeah, as you can see, I was giving full deflections of the yoke there on final. With the YoKo, I never made it to the full deflection, which I wouldn't imagine you would need to. The problem I always find in some instances is I'll be coming in and when I'm at this, I'll be at my max back and it just, you'll see the difference of like when you start pulling this back and you get to that max, it really yanks that yoke back and it can cause a balloon at the last second. But that just all comes down to the feel. But, you know, it's a big difference between a, you know, less than $200 yoke compared to a $900 yoke. But it all really boils down to what I'm determining as quality. The system that they use for the left and right motion and the elevator, whatever spring setup they have in there, is fantastic. And you can feel that when you really start to yank back on it, you'll feel that resistance and that pull. Same thing with the elevators. It kind of gives you the same feel. The best way I can explain it is, you know, if you have air moving over your ailerons in a real airplane, it kind of has that heavy feel to it. The Saitek just doesn't give you that because it's very light. You can see how much you can move it around. But I mean, as you can see, I still had a good landing in it. I don't think that has anything to do with it, but I just really, really do prefer the feel of that YoKo. Wow. I never knew what I was missing. I remember the first time I ever used it over at Frugal's house, and it was, I was like in love with it. It's like, man, this is so nice. You just feel like you can really, really nail those landings. And in a you know, in a Cessna, a smaller airplane, you're flying a 737. I figured that'd be a good demo airplane. But if you're in a Cessna or something, that round out to flare is so important. And with this Saitek, I always had ballooning issues. If I look down here, you can see just like when you pull back, see how it just accelerates like crazy at the beginning and the end there. With that YoKo, you have a lot more travel, double of what this one is. So you can really pull that back into your lap almost, it feels like. Which is pretty nice when you're on that short final approach. You can make those slight movements. To me, I just hit that plastic piece in the middle there. And I've had this thing open before. I know I've made modifications to my Saitek yokes before using the rubber bands. And I'm pretty sure that the YoKo uses, it's all metal parts inside except for the cogs in the back. They're made of plastic. But it uses, the spring system it uses is almost, they look like bungee cords is what they look like, but they're like a high grade bungee cord essentially. So it has that kind of tension rather than the Saitek giving you those strong springs. And it's so crazy because I remember the Saitek being like, wow, this spring is so heavy compared to like, you know, other sticks and stuff. And this is just light. It's paper light compared to the YoKo. It's so strange. I never thought that I would ever think that my Saitek was this light. I always thought it had a pretty strong tension on it. And I never went inside and removed that spring that's in here. I did that with my last one. All right. So guys, that's going to conclude it for this review of the YoKo Yoke. And you know, I wasn't told to show the difference between the Saitek and that. I don't think that they're even really in competition so much because Virtual Fly is making professional products, whereas Saitek's making entry-level products. So there's a huge step there. But I just wanted to show you the difference visually, what it looks like. And I'm very, very pleased with the YoKo. Thank you so much to Emilio and everybody over at Virtual Fly for sending me a review copy of that thing. I absolutely love it. Thank you guys. It's gonna make my my flight sim content that much better. I think I already had some decent landings, but maybe I'll give that MD-80 a shot again, because the biggest problem I had with the MD-80 was, you know, it's so ass end heavy when you're coming in, and hopefully with the YoKo you'll have a little bit more precision control there when you're flying in there. But guys, that's gonna do it for this one. Here's the airplane we've been flying today, the IXEG 737. You can get that over at X Aviation. It's a fantastic bird, one of my favorites in X-Plane. And I will see you all very soon. Take care.